Colorado conducted preseason practice number 17, getting closer and closer, Brian. And today was Receivers Day with the media. We talked to Jason Phillips, the receivers coach, and we talked to Sincere Brown for the first time. Yeah. Great conversation with him. Talked to Joseph Williams as well as Hykeem Williams. Let's start with Coach Phillips because we've speculated that this is going to be a deeper rotation than what we saw at Colorado the previous 2 years under Coach Prime. And Coach Phillips confirmed that. He says he sees 8 to 11 of those guys getting on the field this season.
Yeah, and you look at the roster and you watch, the clips of Well-Off, and you see that, right? I mean, you see a lot of different guys making plays. And, I was chatting with one of the other reporters, like, well, who are we going to get? Because we didn't know who we were going to get receiver-wise. And it's like, well, it really could be any one of 7, 8, 9 guys. And so, we had 3 today, but it very well could have been, Draylon Miller, who we had earlier in camp, or Omarion Miller, or, Jack Estera, who, Coach Phillips had high praise for when I asked about him, and Isaiah Harge. I mean, there's so many guys that could be there. And so, yeah, it does seem like it's going to be deep. And, man, you look at, like, a Sincere Brown, it's like – they've got a lot of different variety of talent as well. And so he's 6'5". You go to Draylon Miller, who's, I think listed at 5'11" or whatever. They got a wide variety of types of receivers.
Coach Phillips also said, these receivers, you come in here, you play. That's the expectation when you come here out of the prep ranks. And both those guys, Quentin Gibson and Quinell X. Farrakhan Jr., have lived up to that and are guys that I'd imagine there's going to be a game at the end of the season you look back and go, for both those guys, where they both made a big impact in an important game.
Yeah, I will say real quick, Sincere to Quentin Gibson is the bigger disparity than Sincere to Draylon Miller. But yes, I could definitely, again, chatting before with somebody, like, I could see, Farrakhan Jr. having an Omarion Miller type of season that Omarion had 2 years ago, where maybe there's not a whole lot there, but there's some injuries and you have your game where you're going to have a 100-yard game. And, Quentin maybe the same thing. We know that Quentin's going to have some opportunities in the return game as well, so he might make it more of an impact as far as that goes. But there's so many guys. And, like, you watch Farrakhan make these catches in Well-Off, like, how do you keep that guy off the field? But then you see, Sincere and Hykeem and all these guys, like, well, that's how you would keep them off the field. But you feel good if there's some injuries, saying, yeah, there's plenty of guys that you can roll out there and have success.
I was going through my pictures from the open photography window, and there's a picture of Quentin Gibson, and he's basically landed where his name is on his jersey, and he just folded, flipped, and popped right back up, and it was like, man, I would be in the hospital for a week, Brian, if I came down like that.
I never would have been up that high to begin with, so I'd be okay. But, yeah, he's so athletic, and there's several of those guys like that. But Quentin Gibson is one of those guys
Here we go.
Got the bugs. Quentin Gibson's one of those guys that I don't know what we're going to get out of him this year, but I'm so excited for his career to see what he does over the course of his college career, because he's so talented, and he's going to make big plays.
It was an encouraging sign, I think, that Hykeem Williams was sent to the media, because Coach Prime rewards the guys that are performing well in practice. We don't get guys sent to media scrums that are struggling, right? And so I never thought he was struggling. There were enough clips here and there, but just to have him come to the media shows that he's made an impression on this staff.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former 5-star recruit that made some plays at Florida State. He talked about just he wanted to develop more, and that's why he came to Colorado. And he looks like he's a guy that can make some plays. He looks like a 5-star guy a lot of times, and so that's why. When I project the top 3, I don't have him in there. But then you think about him, it's like, wow, that's a 5-star guy with a lot of talent. And so it is an encouraging sign because, again, the depth of this team. It's hard to see. Travis had, I think, 96 catches last year. LaJonte had at 74. It's hard to see anybody with those numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Draylon will have a lot of receptions because they're going to try to get him the ball in space a lot of times. But, I would think that those numbers are going to come down. It's just going to be more parity within that receivers group.
It might be a 70-50 as opposed to a mid-90s to a 70. But, I feel like there's going to be a lot of guys that are in that 30-catch area. And, that's okay. I mean, I think that's the sign of the depth of this team. I mean, there could be 6-7 guys that are 30 catches or more.
And DeKalen Taylor is another guy that's going to catch a lot of passes for this team as well. Sincere Brown looks every bit of 6'5". Yes. And I asked him about his vertical leap because I wanted to know what it is. Watching him do those box jumps. Did you watch that over the summer? It was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. I would imagine it's well over 40 inches, his vertical.
I would think so, and I think the surprising thing was his answer that he's never had it tested. Yeah. You know, I thought that he would want to see that, but I'm curious when he gets to pro day what that's going to look like, because that's the day we'll find out maybe what that is. But yeah, he gets up there, and you know, it's 6'5" with his speed, and you can get up there like that. I mean, there's potential for him to have, you know. Nobody's talking about him, I think, because he came from Campbell, and you know, it took him a long time to have that breakout season. But he's a guy that you could potentially have a really huge season for the Buffs.
Yeah, and we talked to Joseph Williams, who is close with. He's going for you this time. He's really close with Julian Lewis, and those guys have developed a chemistry. Juju to JoJo is going to be a connection we hear a lot about in Boulder here in the next few years.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it's this year, how much it is, but yeah, as long as those guys are here, I think that that's going to be a connection that we hear about. And you know, he said they met on the visit and have just connected. Joseph Williams was saying there's not a day that I'm not hanging out with him, and we just, you know, we get to the line, we look at each other, we know what we're going to do, and so that's going to be a fun one to see develop. And you know, all those guys, I mean, they had good things to say about Caden and Juju. I can't remember which one of them said. I think was it Hykeem that maybe said, you know, with Juju, it was kind of like he's just got natural arm talent. And when he got here, it was like, wow, everything I heard is legit.
Yeah. And Joseph Williams is another guy that can high point the ball. That was one of his strengths at Tulsa. A former quarterback and safety that started playing receiver his senior year of high school, had 0 offers when he made the position switch, and goes out to Tulsa, and it took maybe half of the season for him to really find his groove. If you look at his splits of the second half of the season, he was on a heater there down the stretch his freshman year.
Yeah, and I think Buff fans are going to like his answer when he was asked, you know, what can fans expect out of you this year? And he said big plays and lots of them, you know, because that's what he does. And, you know, I think he's a big play type of guy. He's got so much confidence as a receiver for a guy that hasn't played it very long. And, you know, really his first year as a receiver in high school had a big year, you know, and then he does the same thing last year. And so I think he's got so much potential as a guy still learning that position.
Yeah. I would say with Omari and Miller and Draylen Miller, those are the 5 that we're probably going to see the most of. But Isaiah Harge is going to play. We heard that Jack Histera's got an opportunity beyond special teams and those freshmen. So it really is one of the deepest receiving groups that has not gotten a lot of national credit, really, honestly.
And you know, another guy that I know he's been out most of camp, but it looks like he's back now, is Terrell Timmons. You know, is an older player that, you know, came here last year that hasn't really had that opportunity, but there's so much talent in him as well that if, you know, he's a guy that, you know, you have to look out for as well. But I think
Caleb Mathis as well.
Mathis as well. He's been getting in there a lot more recently, and so you know, the list goes on. There's probably somebody we're forgetting because the list is so long, and that's why when the quarterbacks were asked about it, they were even saying, "Look, you can go on and on. Yeah. We probably could too." But yeah, I think those top 5, I feel pretty confident, and that's the top 5. And if you CU quarterbacks, you feel pretty confident those are the top 5.
I think so. All right, we'll be back with more analysis on Thursday.